Okay, so welcome, welcome to all our future viewers who are going to hang on every word we say when we're super rich and famous. My name is Nick, and that is also Nick.
Here I am.
And that's gonna be one of the things we have to talk about is what our names are gonna be when we're actually discussing this, because I feel like Nick and Nick is going to be confusing, especially when people are listening to something and not watching us.
I mean, I think you'll pretty much figure it out by who responds. You know? I don't know.
I think you overestimate how different we sound.
You think we sound the same?
I don't think we sound that different. I mean,
dude, we sound miles apart, bro.
Maybe I'm just being reverse racist, or what? Am I using that term correctly?
Is that a term? Reverse racism?
Reverse racism? Yeah, actually, it's a term white people coined to. I think a more accurate term might be like meta racism, where by calling people out on, like, by saying a white person doing something is racist, that is in itself racist because you're telling them to do it because they're white. Or
I don't
what
think
they're doing is
we
racist.
really need to listen to any terms about racism that white people came up with, probably.
I think it's an important discussion topic. I mean, that's the whole point. Okay, so getting back to what we're actually trying to do here, Nick and I have been talking about making a YouTube channel for a little while now. We were discussing ideas about how best to get involved in something like that. And my biggest issue was most of the topics that he and I talk about we were enthusiastic over, but we're not necessarily we don't have the credentials to speak intelligently on a lot of these subjects. But I wanted to create an open forum discussion kind of podcast where we tackle issues that correlate to men in 2020 going forward. Things like, Black Lives Matter, things like abortion, which I'm hoping is going to be our first conversation piece coming up in January of 2021. But going into that whole, we don't need to talk about racist terms that white people come up with. I think we absolutely do, because I think the whole point, that, like, at least from my perspective, where I'm passionate about is, like, informing people about things that we think might go unsaid, but not everyone, if we've never had the discussion, we can't assume that it's
Right. Yeah.
We all adhere to this, that reverse racism isn't a thing. I think we should.
I think it's just all racism, really, when you think about it. Like, racism is racism. Whether if you're going against white people,
Oh no, not that there's anything new to this term. More that it is just a very specific term. It was made by white people to be like when black people say that everything we do is racist, that's our saying basically. That's just reverse racism. I'm just a white guy living my life, yada yada.
Right. Well, both are wrong, really, I guess, if you think about it. You don't want to...
Awfully nihilistic of you. Would you care to expand?
No, I mean, it's like if one group is being... I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
If one group is being racist.
Not being racist, but you're grouping all people of a certain race into one box, as if, like, everybody acts the same way, or you're stereotyping them, then...
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's racism, regardless of which race is doing it.
And that kind of goes... I mean, yeah, but I think what reverse racism does is it causes an infinite regress.
It's just a way of white people trying to act like the victim, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just kind of goes over. I mean, no one is racist because everyone's racist. I mean, it just kind of folds in on itself. Well, you calling me racist is racist because you have to, acknowledge race to, even identify racism, which I think is just it's rapier, not even rapier. It's like old hatchet wit.
Yeah, I mean, I think we probably shouldn't talk about, groups of people as being racist, but we'll just look at individual actions and whether or not what somebody is doing is racist.
Yeah, well,
take it case by case rather than say,
yeah,
in general, these people are acting racist.
Well, yeah, I mean, from my perspective, with the questions I want answered, and that's where I'm trying, I guess, to market on my ignorance and be like, well, I don't know exactly what the expectations should be for myself on, say, we'll take Black Lives Matter, for instance. I mean, I am I is something like sitting in front and on one knee for 9 minutes, is that something everyone should be doing? Can we talk about reparations? I mean, how do people feel about it? How should they feel about it? I feel like in today's day and age, and this is what I mean, going into like our name of it, which I know we're all over the place with this, but we're my working title so far that Nick hasn't argued with me too much on is the Constitution of Man, because I don't feel as though men have role models, at least not in the sense that we used to. I feel like we live in a day and age where there's a lot of proverbial fatherless men out in the world, whether it's our idols keep turning out to be dirtbags, or we were raised by single mothers, and maybe, or even bitter mothers, or any combination of things where we don't have a strong identity, a strong sense of what a male's role in everything is. But nonetheless, we are still men.
Right.
Whether or not we had anyone to show us how to be men, we are now. I mean, I am 27. You're 29.
28.
28. And regardless of whether or not we have our Virgil guiding us through the inferno, we still have to figure out what the right things to do in everyday life are, and that's what I hope to provide is learn some self myself and provide an outlet for other people to learn something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with the Constitution of Man. I think that's a good, good title.
I mean, I hated it at first. You were the one that actually first said that it would grab people's attention, and that's what made me fight the initial cringe of it. Because it's a little boasty.
I guess a little bit, yeah. It's definitely putting a lot of pressure on us to deliver something solid, but...
Yeah. But I think that's a good start. All right, so I did talk to I mentioned this in a conversation that wasn't recorded, that I have a friend, Nathan Lamberson. I omit that last name. Everyone forget that. But he agreed that he also might want to get involved. I mean, I think he offers a slightly different perspective on things. He doesn't...
Why are we omitting his last name?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want his last name on. Maybe he wants to go by an alias. I mean, I don't know how well we can disguise people in this day and age, but I want to leave him like every affordable possibility to go dark if he needs to. If this gets too renegade.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
He'll be.
As long as he doesn't say anything too bad. I mean,
yeah,
he's probably a nice guy. I don't know.
I think the best thing about this is it doesn't really take any qualifications to sit there and be like, I don't know what to do in situations. Like,
yeah, we just need to talking,
come up with,
bro. That's all.
Yeah, we just need to come up with like questions we have. I mean, I think there's an infinite well. I mean, there's men in depression, and like how do bros help other bros when bros are depressed, and and are we still fighting a stigma of it not being okay to ask for help? I mean, personally, I haven't. I've gone through a lot of therapy in my life, but I personally also advocate to a lot of people for it, and I see more and more people just being like, it's expensive, that's not really for me.
Hey, you advocated it to me, and I did it.
Yes, that's the idea, right? We're gonna get on here and tell everyone to get therapists and fix the world.
I have health insurance, which is a plus, and it's really not expensive for me. So.
Yeah,
I'm lucky with my healthcare plan. Like, I bitch about health insurance left and right, but I have a really good fucking healthcare plan. But I just hate the idea of health insurance in general.
Oh yeah, I mean that's universal healthcare is another, but that is one of those things where I might say we should probably watch. We should at least what's the word watch how we say stuff like, well, I'm for all universal healthcare. That seems a little off the nose to me. Not that we can't.
Why?
Yeah. All right, so this is what we're here to workshop is the dog.
But, yeah, I mean, I think when we sit down to do an actual, we'll have to get a distraction-free environment somewhere.
Well, okay, so anyway,
because that's going to be a problem. And we're just taking a brief intermission.
Yeah, we have to shush the dog. So, only because I don't want to exclude anyone, and I feel like dropping stuff like universal health, I don't know. I don't want to exclude anyone. We're not here to tell you whether or not universal health care is right or wrong. It is, but that's not what we're here to discuss. See, and that's what I mean by facilitating those thoughts is just the meta commentary and just being like.
I mean, we're just giving our opinion, bro. That's all.
I
you
suppose.
Can either like it or leave it.
I suppose. I just want everyone to like me.
Well, I'll be the one everyone hates then. That's fine.
Can't see it, but I'm like shaking my fist in the air right now because I want to be the likable one. So, first topic. Abortion. Any other things? I mean, I have a couple of ideas in mind, but how are you feeling about it? Do you like it? Do you like this? We've been talking for 12 minutes now. It's not the
Impressive.
end of the world.
Have I put any thought into topics? No, I have not. But abortion, yeah, we can do that.
No, I mean, what bothers you?
What doesn't bother me, bro? Have you met me? I don't know. Just state of the world bothers me.
Maybe we should get like a topic board or something. I don't know. Do we need skits? Would skits be good?
Skits?
I meant like little asides, just like little PowerPoint situations or something. Little like I don't know. We get like puppets to act out social commentary. I don't know, man. I'm trying to make this thing like perfect in my mind, on like $0 budget.
Or we could dress up in costumes, like Philosophy Tube. You ever watch him?
We could dress up like philosophies.
No, have you seen Philosophy Tube on YouTube?
No,
channel?
I haven't.
Yeah, there's this guy.
That sounds like my thing.
Yeah, this British guy. He does like, I don't know. I think most of his videos are like 20 to 30 minutes, and he'll do a lot of acting in it. Like he'll dress up in character and try and portray whatever topic he's talking about. It's pretty good. He's pretty good. Yeah, I like a lot of his stuff. He's a bit eccentric at times, but it's. I'm a fan.
I can't believe I haven't heard of something like that. It's like a blow to my philosophy brand.
Oh, check him out. He's got he's a pretty big YouTuber, I'd say. I mean, I don't know what
speaking of stuff that was cool. So I did that. The Biden, he has an all-female press thing.
Let's take a look.
Cabinet thing. Yeah. On Market Watch is where I have this. It says Miss Bedingfield was served Biden's House Community Director.
What am I searching here? Biden female.
Biden all female.
Oh, senior communications team.
Yes, that's the phrasing that you're looking for.
All right, let's see. Kate Bedingfield will be the communications director. So what exactly does a communications director do?
Yes. See, this is exactly my point. Those of you listening at home, is there's so much ignorance in my life that I have no qualifications to make a YouTube channel or podcast about anything other than asking questions.
All right, let's see. Not White Horse, White House. Let's see. White House Communications Director is part of the senior staff. The office holder is responsible for developing and promoting the agenda of the president and leading its media campaign. Okay, that sounds like a pretty important position.
So HNIC of how he comes off to people. So
we need to hold on. Let's take a look at Kate Bedingfield and see what her accomplishments are. Kate Bedingfield.
Miss Bedingfield, if you would like to come on for an interview, please let us know.
Oh, look at this. Look at this picture. Oh, she's styling, dude.
I would wear those glasses, honestly. I mean...
Let's see here. Does she have a Wikipedia? Yeah, she does. Yeah. I mean, I don't see.
So
any
I guess
red
my
flags.
question would be, how do we feel about that? How do we feel about the all female communication staff? Is that pandering? I mean, it's obvious.
It's definitely
obvious.
identity politics for sure.
But but I'm okay with. I think I'm ultimately okay with just making the grand gesture of it, regardless of.
Yeah, I mean, it probably does make it. It will make it easier for women to get into those positions in the future. If not an all women, cabinet every time. At least it'll be more representative, probably.
I mean, as far as withholding judgment onto the Almighty or whatever, I really don't like. If you told me that Joe Biden was doing everything just to look good, if everything was being done correctly, I wouldn't really give a crap. I really don't care. Like, when it comes to what I expect from my politicians, your motivations aren't really my concern in that instance.
I mean, as long as the people are qualified.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. I think there's just... I think I bring it up because I feel as though the natural backlash that I would expect from from opposition to Joe Biden would be, well, it's just an obvious ploy. They're just, that's the usual Democratic thing, is to, make these big grand gestures that don't actually amount to anything. But I think this does. I think, getting more women in places of power is a good step regardless of its motivations. And I don't...
I mean, and I guess it really only matters if they actually somehow produce legislation that's beneficial to women in the long run, right?
Well, yes. But I think I don't know enough to say this, but I would think, putting those people in places of power normalizes it more and makes it, it brings us one step closer to that true idealistic vision where everyone does have some version of equality. And when someone says an all-female cabinet, it wouldn't be that unheard of or anything like that. You know what I'm saying?
It sets a precedent.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think a communications staff necessarily is going to have that much to do with legislation being passed.
But I mean, like the communications director, is creating the platform and the media outreach and all that, which I think, that's the image of the whole campaign and of the presidency. Like, how, at least it'll be a woman sort of, I don't know, putting that stuff out there. So I don't know, I guess it kind of helps get a female perspective on things.
Yeah, I think just my true question, I mean, I think big grand gestures are what we are, in fact, and it needs to be followed up by substantial reform and everything like that. And they can't be these empty things, but we have these moments.
But what does a reform even look like that benefits women? Like, I feel like
well, not overturning Roe v. Wade.
Well, yeah,
is good, it would be great. It'd be a great start, is to not make it actively worse.
But that's not really in the hands of the president either.
It was when he appointed the Supreme Court.
Well, I mean, it's not in the hands of the
It's not
Joe
nah,
Biden.
but like that's the because of the division of power. It's I mean, the president does wield a substantial amount of power. Especially, I mean, it is luck of the draw, but in this instance, when it matters, he had enough power. I mean, all of the judge picks from the Trump administration and coming down to the Supreme Court pick in 2020 this year. It does make a difference because we have a much stronger majority of conservative judges who view the Constitution in a naturalistic sense. I think is usually what happens there is they call themselves literalists or something or
Yeah,
originalists.
Yeah, originalists. Yeah.
And they want to but personally, I'm the exact opposite. And once again, not to step on anybody's toes, I am all for just starting from scratch, and we can copy and paste the First Amendment and go from there.
Yeah, fuck the Constitution.
Not quite. Not quite. Fuck the Constitution.
Like I said, I'll be the person everyone hates. Fuck the Constitution.
Like I said, we copy and paste the stuff that doesn't need tweaking, and we But it seems like a really hard thing to do when we're this polarized.
I've seen a lot of evidence though, like the fear mongering over the Supreme Court justices, but like there's been some decisions since it's been majority conservative judges that have been, I'd say, pretty fair, as far as like, I think there was one about trans rights or something, and I can't remember specifics off the top of my head, but there was a couple. I could look them up. I'm sure.
We're not doing anything else.
All right, I'm just trying to go with the flow here. We'll see what I can find.
But I as far as how do we reform, what does a reform for women look like? I mean this is what we're here to ask, I guess. This is where I would love a female perspective.
Okay, so 2 months ago, the U.S. Supreme Court determined that protections in the Civil Rights Act against discrimination in the workplace on the basis of sex extend to gay and transgender people too, which I think, with a majority conservative judges, that's
right.
Pretty. I mean, I guess it leads me to believe that it's not always going to be just their opinion that's influencing their decisions. And plus, they have to sort of maintain some sort of public support or the faith in the institution of the Supreme Court in general. Like if everybody's just like, well, they're just political, like straight up political hacks that are just going to do what they want, what's lines up with their ideology every time.
No, it's more. I don't think it's they're just. I don't think they're necessarily aligning themselves behind a political philosophy or any political. They're not sitting there trying to support the GOP or anything like that. They're sitting there and they have their own biases, as we all do, and they have their reading of the Constitution, their own, religious upbringing or non-religious upbringing, this, that, the other. And by the time we're talking about a Supreme Court or a judgeship, people usually have a decent idea of what that person, if they've been a judge for any amount of time, we have an idea of what they rule on what, and we can surmise what they would say on a more progressive amendment to the Constitution versus overturning something like Roe v. Wade.
I guess they just rejected a challenge to transgenders being allowed to use,
whatever
bathroom they want in schools. They just rejected that case. And I don't know. It seems to me like I feel like there's a lot of hype, but I feel like a lot of them will actually try and interpret the law to the best of their ability.
Well, we all obviously we all think we're the good guys in our own story. But it's whether or not they're going to interpret the Constitution the way we want to, and if they aren't, that's where I think I always get hung up on, is we have these rules, and we haven't changed a lot of the rules in a very long time. And
honestly,
we totally can.
I would be willing to put money on the fact that they won't overturn Roe v. Wade. I would be willing to put substantial money on that. I mean, I'm not saying let's make a bet, but
well, I think I mean now might be the now, especially with Biden winning the presidency. I'm sure a lot of either independent left leaning people and progressive and other leftist names are going to be a little more outspoken now because we feel like we're in power for a second.
It's just because that's what they used as like a scare tactic to get everybody to support the safe candidate in the election. Like, oh, they're going to overturn this. They're going to, that was the other one was Obamacare. They were afraid that they were going to overturn Obamacare if, Trump got in another fucking 4 years.
That's an interesting. So you're implying that the Democrats might be letting us get a little more scared than we need to be.
Absolutely, dude.
And about stuff that really isn't gonna happen.
Yeah, like they that was the other ruling that I heard recently was that they were, even if they ruled the individual mandate as unconstitutional, they would leave the rest of Obamacare intact, which is what they were kind of. That was the fear mongering, was that they were just going to get rid of Obamacare completely. Like they said like this Supreme Court justice is like. It's going to be bad for women's rights. It's going to eliminate your health care. It's going to fucking all this. It's like, no, dude. It's just a minor thing. And honestly, like, I get the fact that the individual mandate might be considered unconstitutional to force people by tax to pay for something.
You know what you sound like? You sound like Bill Burr in 2016. He was like, when Obama became president, did he ever put a sandwich on your table? And he's like, so when Trump becomes president, like, it's no big deal, blah, blah, blah. But, like, look at 2020. Like, I feel like that's the exact kind of... you're probably right. And I agree that when the Democrats, or when any side is telling you everything that could go wrong, it's obviously, like, they have an agenda and you have to take everything they say with a grain of salt. But at the same time... I
take mine with a whole salt shaker.
If they're saying it's a possibility that any, all, one, multiple, any combination of these things could happen, I mean, it's
That's not that they say they could. They say it will. It is absolutely going to happen if you don't vote for Joe Biden. In the primary, too. That was like, I feel like one of the biggest... hype was it? We need the candidate that's definitely gonna win to win. Don't vote for Bernie Sanders because he's not the safe candidate.
If I ever have any sort of relationship to a campaign, I hope I still have your phone number and I can call you about all the frustrated people who are just trying to get their vote, but these little these issues that you bring up to people where you're like, yeah, taxes might go up 3 cents here or there, and then blah 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 blah, and they're not responding, but that's why so we end up phenomenalizing things and making them bigger because people don't care unless it's a show, and that was what Donald Trump brought to the table. I'm hoping we can get away from that. I hope I don't get bored with politics now that Donald Trump is out of office.
Dude, I was so hyped about Bernie Sanders in 2016, and then he failed, and then I was even more hyped about Bernie Sanders in 2020. But like,
I always thought
and I think a lot more people were.
I think Bernie Sanders was always like the Benjamin Franklin of our time.
The only problem is he was too much of a pussy, to be honest. He didn't want to go hard, man. He wouldn't go hard against Biden. He didn't want to. He succumbed to the whole party unity bullshit that they tried to. Because anytime he would criticize anything about any other candidate, he's like, oh, he's sowing disunity in the Democratic Party. The party's fracturing, all this shit, and he didn't want to be responsible for that.
I don't necessarily think that he's gonna die in the next 4 years.
He's not going to run again.
8 years.
There's no way he's going to run again.
Oh, no, it's not about that. It's about literally he had, like, a heart problem during the campaign. I mean...
You think that had anything to do with it?
I think it had a lot to do with it. I think these little incremental things have a lot more to do with it than we give it credit for.
I mean, maybe that
Think about when it happened, though. It was during the primaries.
And he was right back out, right immediately after. Like, it
yeah,
didn't even
he was
slow
out,
down
he was dancing, and... I don't know. I think the power is so...
Joe Biden, his fucking brain is melting, dude.
But the power of the left is so fickle and hard to harness. I feel like it's like I feel like the Democratic vote is just like it's like radioactive energy. It's this stuff that's kind of hard to use, and it's not easy to bottle or deal with, but it is a lot of energy. And I feel like to get the people in the center, the people who I would consider like normal Democratic, left leaning, and then progressives and liberals.
Here's the thing, dude.
You need the only reason that we even got far leftists in this election was because Donald Trump was so incredibly right. He was
I swear, if they would just run on policies, popular policies, they would have no problem winning every time, because most of the policies that are supported by the majority of the country, which is supported by polling, are the progressive policies like Medicare for all. Like, I feel like it's like 75 to 80, I don't remember the exact number, but it's a pretty high percentage of the country that supports universal health care. Whether or not it's hard to believe that based on what you see on the media, but it's true. Like, even majority of Republicans support universal health care. I mean, it's not a huge majority, but I'm pretty sure it's like 51% or something of Republicans that support it. And I mean, but they'll cry socialism on, Fox News, and even fucking the other channels, they won't look favorably on it. So it just, because it doesn't support their interests. It doesn't support their advertisers. Speaking of advertisers.
Oh man,
the Viking.
My ambient Viking campfire got turned off by these ads that I can't even skip. 3 seconds.
Sorry, when we get big, you can pay for premium.
Shut the hell up. I'm never paying for premium YouTube.
Dude, why?
Over my cold dead body.
Well. Anyways, I lost my train of thought, but yeah, fuck the Constitution.
Fuck the Constitution. No. By the way, people who like Constitution, but men who still want to learn something.
I'm just kidding. The Constitution has a lot of value.
Men who still want to learn something about,
But the Third Amendment,
whether or not you should pay for dinner or whatever. Please come back next week. We'll have we're here to in January when we come by and we have Riley here, and we'll stay on the one topic. We'll have a good 45 minute talk on it, and we'll stick to that. We won't go into personal politics. But right now, yeah, it's just sort of vibing, and I just think rules need to be fair to everyone. I think it should be. I think when you introduce a group of people to the world, the burden of proving that they don't deserve some sort of right is on the majority, I guess, not on the if trans people want to come in and say we're our own group, we want to use whatever bathroom, and that's a substantial thing. Like we would have to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that is going to bring harm to someone to take that right away from them.
Yeah, I've heard a pretty good argument as far as, the counter to the whole, it's going to, increase the risk of, your daughter getting raped in the bathroom or something. It's like, dude, if they were planning on raping someone in the bathroom, they're not going to take that extra time to, identify as a female to go, or to go use the fucking women's bathroom. They're going to rape you. They're going to fucking rape you, dude. You know what I mean? They're not going to...
Here's the thing. I have had, out of all of my female friends, a remarkable amount of them have faced, sexual assault in one version or another, and I have never heard one even inkling where the girl said it was a trans person.
Yeah, right.
Like, I feel like that would have...
It's always the most masculine men.
If this is a problem that's large enough to stop someone from having the right to use the bathroom... You need a little bit more. It's sort of like this whole mass voter fraud thing where they say there's possibly 125 million votes that were illegally put in. It's like, yeah, but we found 9. Like that. Like, you need more than 9 cases to support anything.
Right.
So that's essentially what this venture, I hope, will yield, is just a better understanding of other groups of people. I think I play an ignorant man very well, and I have questions. I just want to, it's because I think mostly people are good at heart, and I think any resentments that a lot of men might have only comes from a lack of understanding. I mean, things like our abortion topic. I mean, I might feel a type of way about one thing or another, but I've always been able to sleep better at night when I hear a woman speak from their perspective, because it's very hard. It's, you know, this is just one of them. I mean, same thing with, you know, Black Lives Matter, transgender rights, all things that I don't necessarily directly relate to, but it's still a part of the world. It's a change that's happening right now, and I really want to know what my part is in it. Obviously, you know, a lot of it's going to be listening, but it's not like our votes don't count, and I think it's our responsibility to educate ourselves and educate our fellow man. And in a world with no father figures, you know, we lift each other up and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the concept of you know, trying to determine the proper way to act towards these topics. You know, if you're trying to be a respectful human being.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's pretty simple.
You know.
But I mean, I feel like the answer is pretty simple for most of these things. It's just like, okay, listen to the person who has the problem, and then try and be respectful. Try and empathize with that person and see it through their perspective the best you can, and try and treat them like you would want to be treated in their situation.
And yet ignorance exists. And yet we have people that are like, you know, that where remember when fag used to not be a really mean thing to say to guys? I mean, since then it's become a lot more. It's not a thing you can just call your buddies when they're being
I had someone,
less than awesome.
Someone said that to me, like, I don't know, a few months ago. I was like, oh my god, I
can't
believe you just said that, dude.
it hit different.
But
now.
It used to be like a common utterance.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I don't personally find offense to that, and I feel weird in a situation where somebody else uses that, because I know it's probably one of those words that we need to phase out. But also, I know what, you know, so like I know what the reaction also will be, which is, well, are you gay? Are they gay? It's like, so what if I am? I'm just trying to phase out these. I just, you know, the N word.
There's no need for such like just directly hateful language.
Yeah, and what is my part in getting rid of that word? I mean, like, in reality, as a dude, how do you like where this is not here to see, like, you should pull your buddy aside and be like, hey, here's how that word makes people feel, blah, blah, blah. But we need to have discussions about these things because we think they're unspoken. But I think taking time out of our day to meditate on these topics could be beneficial. And because it's hard in practice. I mean, a less serious one, dating now. I mean, I'm newly single. I don't know. Like, if I go out with a girl, I like progressive girls. Should like, what does it mean when I ask a girl how we should, like, split the bill? Because if I was looking for a strong, independent woman who is blah 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 blah, I think I'm looking for the kind of girl who wants to go Dutch on things. But I don't have a problem, like, wooing. But I also don't want to come across as if I'm trying to be the man, air quotes, for those who can't see that. Like, because, I mean, there are a bunch of different types of women. How do we circumnavigate? Because, I mean, and this is where we get a female perspective for something like that, because women, they go through it, they have conversations with other women who have gone through stuff like that, and they have conversations where they're not talking to a guy. So if we come in with our doe eyes and be like, do I pay for dinner? Does it make me look bad if I don't pay for dinner? What are we like?
Yeah, because I've always thought the whole paying for dinner thing is kind of ridiculous, to be honest.
I think sometimes it's a little unfair in this day and age. I think if we're really, what
if it was two women going on a date? Who pays for the bill then? Is it just automatically considered that you're going half?
I don't know.
Like, or is it the person who initiated the date pays for the date? Like, would you like to go to this restaurant? And then if you're the one that asked, then you have to pay? I don't know. How does that work?
Yeah, which I mean, and the you know, as you say, these answers seem obvious, which is just like talk to the person about it. But the reality of the situation is, I'm going on a first
That
date
is
with
a tough
somebody
one, yeah.
who is going to want me to come across, who's going to want me to like text them and be like, I don't have a problem paying for dinner.
Yeah, that's just
Because
awkward in
I
general.
because I am a romantic, and I sometimes I think the chivalry thing is kind of fun, and blah 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 blah. But also, if you want to exercise your strong, independent woman side and the pay for half, or if you want to pay for dinner, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't want to step on toes, and it's less obvious than people seem to think it is. Like,
But I think, honestly, if you were to say all that on a date, I mean, I think if the person is
cool. Yeah,
they'll be like, "Oh, that's sweet," you know, like, and then they'll tell you how they want to do it. They'll probably split it with you, honestly. I don't know.
Yes, but you know what would help me? Like, help me is if a not other cisgender white guy was telling me that, you know. Like, it's fine.
Hey, the only way to find out is to try, right?
Like, that's what I'm here to say is just like, yeah, because this is where this idea sprung from. Was I've had so many conversations with my friends, i.e. other white guys, and we're just like, well, I feel as though a woman would feel this way. It's like, yeah, but no matter how much we think someone feels this way about it, do we really know? How many women have told you that? Like, do we understand why? Have we really done the proper amount of thought? Have we weeded out all the misinformation from these obvious thoughts that we think are so obvious?
Yeah, I guess my rationale is kind of like, well, you're putting forth that you've thought about it, that you want them to be comfortable, all these things and like, I don't know. I feel like that's a show of good faith and goodwill. I don't know.
But I still want somebody of a different perspective. Not
I
that
I think that every woman is different. Every woman's going to react differently to that situation.
But there are social norms. But there are social norms that guide that. Like back in the day, every woman would be different. So there might be a girl back in the 1600s who probably would have liked if you talked to her once before asking her dad if you could buy her. But some women might not care. Like this is a new era. The old rules don't necessarily apply. I don't want to feel like a jerk for not doing something, and I don't want to feel like a jerk for doing something. And I think open discussions about just to stay current, and it's not like a one and done thing. We can if this were a conversation discussion board thingy for the next 10 years, I'd love to readdress the same topics and be like, so where are women at now as far as whether or not a guy has any right to the child or should have any right to the child if he doesn't pay child support or something, or this, that, the other. I mean, this is about tackling these social issues so that we all understand each other and we don't have a bunch of guys walking around doing these dumb stuff and making a bad name for all of us.
That's always going to
including be the case, myself. But we minimize it. I mean, even if you'll never, eradicate evil from the universe, you still chop off the heads where you find them.
So we're just chopping off the heads of the ignorant.
We are a light in the dark. We are doing God's work, obviously. We're better than everyone.
That's a fact.
That's
undeniably.
A fact. That's two facts.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess, how do you determine what the social norm is? You just talk to a lot of people?
Well, and beyond, every girl is different. Every guy is different. We all get to still make our own decisions. You can listen to this, a talk about whether or not you should pay for dinner for an hour, and at the end of it still say, but I want to pay for dinner, so I'm going to do it. That's not wrong. This is only to give proper time to meditate and make sure, for your own personal philosophy, to take time, consider all aspects of the beliefs you hold, and that way, at the end of it, if you still hold those beliefs, you can rest assured knowing that they have been, put through fire and flame. You've given them the proper consideration. You're not blindly following something. And if you have to get rid of some, then you can know from now on you're going to live a little bit more justly, you're going to be a little bit more considerate to someone of a different group, and I mean, you have nothing to lose from thinking about things. If it's all obvious to you, well, this is probably not a place for you. I mean, if it's all like, if you have all the answers, if you know how to act in every social situation, and you know how everybody feels,
if you think that, you're probably an asshole.
I would love to have you on so you can tell me. But I run into, issues all the time, and I don't want to be rude. I don't, I don't want to make a joke that would offend anybody, and I just want everyone to like me, as I said.
But the unfortunate fact of life is people are going to dislike you sometimes, even if you have the best intentions.
I disagree. I disagree.
Yeah, actually, I kind of go through life. I feel like everybody kind of likes me. I mean, I don't know. For one reason or the other, I don't seem to figure. I can't put my finger on why, because most of the time I don't even like myself. But I seem to have a good impression on people.
I have this weird thing. I think it's because I want to be liked so badly that anybody who I don't feel likes me at the very beginning, I'm like, oh, we're gonna change that. Chase you down until you love me, paparazzi.
Oh man.
Well, that's good. That was 45 minutes.
Solid.
All right, we're gonna wrap things up.
That's our outro.
Listen to this later. All right, Constitution of Man out.
Sure.